Hey there, YouTubers. In this video, I'll be giving my short review on the recent science fiction movie named Prey, which came out a few weeks ago on Hulu. I'd like to add that while I am a fan of science fiction films with aliens, my knowledge of the Predator franchise is relatively limited due to me only seeing the first movie this year. That being said, I do look forward to giving my thoughts and overall analysis of this movie. I'm going to start out and say that this movie's visuals and special effects were beyond what I was expecting. Just by observing the environment and the animals truly did give the audience a realistic feeling as if they were in the movie themselves. The character development of the protagonist made the movie very enjoyable to watch. And as we can see in this scene here with the bear, the CGI is extremely well done, to the point where you have to wonder how this movie was not out in theaters instead of just streamed on Hulu. To provide a little insight in this movie, the story takes place in the early 18th century as the Native Americans in Canada are slowly getting accustomed to the French settlers, more specifically the French fur traders in this movie. The movie's protagonist is Nauru, a Comanche warrior and healer who's out to prove to her mother that she doesn't want to stick with the traditional gender roles of being only a healer and wants to prove that she can also hunt as well. Nauru is an intelligent and athletic hunter who is shown to be just as capable as her male counterparts in being able to hunt deer and other animals. While the movie's cinematography is impressive, there are points of questions I would like to address, which might seem not so accurate. The first point being that the Comanche Nation is located around the Texas and Oklahoma area in the southern part of the United States. So seeing the Comanches so far up north in Canada might not be so clear to those that are very knowledgeable of Native American tribal locations. That being said, it's not impossible to believe that maybe some Comanches were up north in Canada at the time. Again, I understand that this is a science fiction movie and not everything is going to be 100% accurate. In the mid part of the movie, we start to see Nauru use her tomahawk and turn it into a Japanese kusarigama. Now, again, it is believable that she would be able to tie this rope to a tomahawk, but if you can see here in the scene, the speed at which she throws this tomahawk and then brings it back, reels it back in, just seems somewhat unrealistic as she's able to catch it in that short of time. And I think the audience is meant to believe that this is her first time using this type of weapon with the rope. So with that type of speed and accuracy and precision under just a few minutes of practice, again, is just a little unrealistic. That being said, this does demonstrate the intelligence of Nauru, showing that she can advance Native American weaponry, essentially making her somewhat of an engineer. In this next scene, we have Nauru and her brother Tabe tied up to a tree meant to attract the predator. Now, she asks the question to Tabe if he is okay. Now, for those of us that have watched this movie, Tabe was literally slashed in the chest with a knife. So the expected answer should be no. In this next scene, we see Nauru go full-on John Wick on these French fur traders. And as impressive as this is to see, this does come off as somewhat unrealistic when she begins to use the kusarigama tomahawk again, as you can see here. That being said, Nauru was an extremely impressive character to watch throughout the entire film. Now, moving on to my favorite character of the film, the Predator's animation was so extremely well done. And as we can see in this opening scene, where the Predator is finally introduced to the protagonist, we can see just the sheer strength that the Predator has, literally wrestling a bear and killing the bear in just one punch. And I'll return back to the Predator's strength here in just a minute. And as we can see here through these scenes, the Predator looks almost invincible, taking down Comanches and French settlers with ease. And what I really love about this scene is that it shows the predator's weapons, and while they still look somewhat primitive compared to the other predators' weapons, especially obviously in the first movie, they're still able to do an insane amount of damage. Now, moving back to the points of inaccuracy, we just see the predator hit Nauru with his shield, and if we remember from the film earlier, he had decapitated someone with his shield. That should have been sharp enough to at least leave a flesh wound in her head, unless I'm seeing something different. And then we have this other part, and again, going back to the strength of the predator, he literally picks her up with his hand and slams her on the ground. If we remember the strength of the predator, how he essentially killed a bear with just one punch, that should have been enough strength to, if not kill Nauru, greatly weaken her. That being said, this battle was extremely interesting to watch, as we were able to see Nauru use the predator's technology against him. Now, I don't really want to spoil any more of this movie, but this movie is definitely up there in one of my favorite sci-fi alien movies that I've watched in my time. And if you haven't watched this yet, please do. And if maybe you have a friend that has Hulu, that would be more than willing to let you use his or her services. And again, thank you for taking your time to watch this review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to making more content for you guys in the future.